Does anybody want to lead opening prayer?
I will.
As we all look at you.
All right. Oh, Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful day you've given us to come here, Lord. Ask you watch over those as we travel back, and thank you for watching over those that travel here, Lord. And just give us the wisdom, Lord, as we go through this meeting. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call in minutes.
Roll call is going around and minutes were on the table.
Do I have a motion to approve minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Minutes approved. I'd like to take a moment of silence. Rick Sillett's wife passed away the other day, and so I'd like to take just a moment of silence in respect for her and for him. Thank you. Reports to the Executive Board. President's report. The only thing that we have to report is that we're trying something new. You'll notice there's a camera in the room. And we are starting to record all of our sessions or all of our meetings to post online. The hope is that eventually these will become live meetings where it'll be interactive. But we'll send out an email to members so they can go back and watch this meeting. If they want to, it'll be posted soon online. So that's the President's report. President-elect report, there's no report. Secretary's report. No report. Treasurer's report. Did not receive.
No, I didn't.
Anybody get
No, I
anything?
did. I lied, I did. I thought he was going to be here and it didn't print it. Oh, I guess I should
Josh is doing treasurer now?
Yes.
Yep.
Good, excellent.
Okay. So Josh's report states, I apologize that I am unable to attend this Mike's meeting. At the time of the meeting, I will be in Columbus, Ohio for a 3-day conference. I do miss you all, and I'm looking forward to when we will meet again. As far as Mike's finances are concerned, following are the breakdowns. The PayPal account balance is $1,213.19. The Fifth Third savings is $31,021.67. And the checking account is $10,467.63 for a total balance of $42,702.49. The endowment fund is currently sitting at $17,435.24. Currently, the endowment fund has gained an accumulated $2.38 in interest in 2018, and only 72 cents thus far in 2019. The annual percentage yield is 0.02% on this account. This equates to only 2 pennies for every $100. At the current rate in management, this will equate to only $3.49 in the next 12 months. This is financially irresponsible when considering that secure investments yield up to 8% in up to 12 months of an investment. Thus, I am proposing a change to the management of the endowment fund as outlined in the new business proposal. To the best of my knowledge, Mike's has no outstanding previous convention cycle debts. As of the next meeting, I will have an expenditure report for the previous convention cycle. I received contact from the Mike's tax preparer requesting documentation for the current tax season. I am in the process of obtaining this information. Once I have all the tax documents, I will begin the audit process. I am not sure when the last audit was completed and whether it was a third-party audit or if it was a member audit. I will make that determination and begin the process for whichever situation is required. As of today's date, we have 2 regular memberships and 1 retiree membership paid in full. This information has been transferred to Pete Twerk for membership profile purposes. I have purchased through the PayPal store a credit card reader that is Bluetooth capable. No longer will we be required to use the microphone jack of our devices to take payments via the card reader at the state conference. I believe it is time that we consider obtaining a dedicated tablet device for the mites to use in the offering of credit card purchases. It is most secure and professional if mites utilizes a dedicated tablet device for secure online transactions when members wish to pay in person via a credit card or debit card for membership, swag, etc., rather than offering personal smartphones at the transaction devices. Soon I will bring quotes and propose the purchase of such tablet devices for online credit and debit card transactions. I have replaced the Mites debit card and it is in my possession. This card has already expedited the transaction ability of Mites required expenditures. I will be working with Dave Weeks to determine how best to handle electronic signature approval by the Mites president rather than requiring a mailed, fax, or printed email copy of an invoice with wet signature. I have investigated the possibility of obtaining credit cards, 1 for each Mites executive board member who has a line item budget. This is a future action item on my part in need of additional follow-up. 1 key factor is that financial institutions issued credit cards to Mites name must be backed up by credit of a single individual. I hope to have this issue resolved by the next Mites meeting. I'm in the process of bringing all Mites treasurer documentation and responsibilities under 1 electronic repository. This will make the job less foreboding for members considering any Mites treasurer vacancy in the future and will facilitate the transfer of the Mites treasurer position seamlessly so that anyone can assume the position at any time and hit the ground running. Currently, the day-to-day tasks necessary to meet Mites treasurer responsibilities are not clearly established in a workflow format. Also, legacy filing systems have accumulated redundant and unnecessary paperwork for expenses and transactions. These 2 issues are challenges in any position and organization, especially in financing and accounting. Thus, I look forward with great anticipation to the challenge of streamlining this position and adding value to Mites. It has been my pleasure to take over Mites treasurer position. I look forward to many convention cycles yet to come by assisting Mites in finances and operations. This is my report. Josh Burkhardt.
Do I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So,
Second?
Second.
Approved. Convention chairperson's report.
All right, I got a sheet if everybody got one over there. Just kind of run down, I'm not going to read everything out here, but we got a list of 10 people right now that have volunteered to actually help organize it because we're in a transition period instead of the post president actually doing everything, which is really hard. We've got a committee of people, which I thought 10 members is pretty good, even though we talked about only having 5, and I'll talk about that in a minute, that are going to be organizing this. And so once we get through this transition period, hopefully in the future, they're going to do all of our events. That way the post president doesn't have to do everything, which will be a positive thing. So some of the things that the subcommittees will be under, I'm working on actually having a committee spokesperson as number 1, which I don't know if that'll be Bo or not. Someone will be working on the hotels, reservations, on-site PD, off-site tours that they're working on for members. Member engagement activities, I thought Brian did a great job last year to actually have some social gatherings that got more members involved. Because it's all about having a great show, right, for kids and our staff for networking. We're working on actually having like an MC for our awards ceremony, because like I've said all along, it doesn't matter if you're the president, it doesn't mean you're the best spokesperson. And so if we have somebody that actually likes doing that stuff, knows our members, and is more comfortable doing that, I think it'll be a much better activity. So that's another process we're working on. And also having a group actually working on member gifts when we do our giveaway stuff, because we know we've had cups and tape measures and stuff like that, trying to come up with some new ideas for us to give away at the actual convention. So that's that information there. Question I have is, do we want to do a keynote speaker? I know Rob paid Kayleen McCabe to come in, I think it was like $3,800. We're obviously gonna be saving a lot of money at OCC because it's pretty much gonna be free as far as facilities. We will have to pay for catering, which we're still working on. So that's an option that we can talk about. As far as budget, I know I've been emailing Adam and Chuck quite a bit. Even though there's gonna be a great cost savings by doing it at OCC, I think personally we should probably still budget a typical show. You know, I think last year was about $25,000 for the event, Brian spent about $3,000, so we're probably looking at $25,000 to $28,000. That way, once we actually come in, it's gonna be way under budget, then we'll have a track record on paper for people to see that actually if we do these at junior colleges for free, that we can save X amount of dollars, which I'm assuming is gonna be probably $12,000 to $15,000 anyways, if not more. So I think personally, if we keep the budget up, we'll talk about that as a group. And on the backside, Bo just sent this to me a couple days ago. We actually have 3 different hotels that accommodate us. Embassy is, I think, have roughly 129, and then Holiday Inn was like $99, and then the Hampton was 110. So compared to the Radisson that Rob had 2 years ago at 126, I think we're right in the ballpark, if not even better. And then the last thing is unfortunately, I still don't have a signed contract, but they have a conference call on 26 at 10:30, so I don't have to drive down there to hash out the details, and once we talk to the administration down there, it should be a done deal on the 26th. So, and I know that contract's been a huge deal, because we're all nervous because if something happens, they pull out. I don't think they're gonna, Bo's guaranteed me that. But once we get through this, I think next year for Adam and at the Lansing Center, a lot of the stuff will be a lot smoother because this committee will actually be set up working in the second year phase. So that's my report.
Do I have a motion to approve the convention chairs report?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
open for discussion.
Yes,
On your conference call, you have other guys join in?
yeah, the OCC people. The OCC people.
No, from like Mark group.
Bo will be on,
What?
Bo Everett will be on it, and he's the main spokesperson at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, he hasn't actually said he'll do the chair, but he's pretty much been organizing it, so I gotta talk to him about that if he actually wants to take that part of it, so I don't think we wanna have a lot of people. But you have some suggestions you want us to talk about, that might ask?
Well, if you need some help,
Yeah,
I'm retiring and nothing else.
all out. So, I guess this is the point, if you have some things you wanna throw out, I'd be happy to ask them, but I think it was pretty much, Adam's been down there, I've toured the place 4 times in the last 2 years. We're good about the facilities, it's just a matter of signing the paperwork, so.
And everything's gonna be there at the same time this year?
Yep, that's the other thing is, the automotive event will be in the automotive part, the construction part is gonna be outside. We're still hoping to work on a tent issue, I gotta get with Bo and the group on that, because we don't wanna spend another $7,000 on a tent. If we can get some construction organization to possibly donate that or make that a little more cost effective, we could utilize that money in a better way, so.
Let me reach out to a couple of contractor buddies that own their companies and see if they can help us out.
It'd be nice to
They're also
get
like
the carpenters.
construction, they're building a thing in Detroit. They're
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that big construction group.
Organization,
Yeah.
it's kind of, that would be a good one for us, or like some kind of, like downtown also has I get their emails all the time. They basically run training classes for students to learn how to be truck drivers and welders and that kind of stuff, so I'll get you that information, but that might be another, we could sell it as a sponsorship. Or, maybe several people are chipping in some money to cover the cost of the tent.
And the other thing about having this all together at the same time, OCC is shut down, there's no kids there, no activities, we have running the whole facility to ourselves, so. I think Jim has
If we're workers killed, probably be glad to help out. And then my other suggestion is, going forward, this to maybe starting now, we have a checklist right? All the little doodly things that's going.
Well, that's one of the things, Jim, that the committee's gonna take
That's
care
what
of.
we're working on,
Yep,
organizing.
we are
these
currently
things.
working on that checklist.
All right.
Yep,
That's why it's gonna be a little bit slower, because we're starting something new that hopefully will be really easy in the future for everybody else, so.
Yeah, I just
Yep.
need instead of being a new learning experience every year, you know, you got a background, you have to jot down things that gotta be done and an approximate date they gotta be done by.
yep, that is all in the works.
Great.
Yeah, when I met with the group, I think it was on Friday or Saturday morning at Shanty Creek, they expressed the interest as a group that they actually want to do this in the future, no matter where the event's at, to help out.
Super.
So, yeah, that way we're not regrouping every time, so.
Great.
Any other discussion?
Anything for me? Anybody? We'll keep working on it.
Okay. Professional Development Subcommittee, there was no report. Commercial Exhibit Report, no report. REO Chairperson, there was no report. I know that we had discussed getting our REOs to our meetings an hour before. I know that that's something that's probably going to be happening here, starting up. So our REOs will actually come to our regular board meetings an hour before the meeting and do their REO meeting. National Organizations Report, no report. Rules Committee.
See you later.
Are we gonna have any new competition?
The only thing I know is he sent me an email waiting on something from me. Because there was something in plastics that I totally forgot about, and he asked me about it, so.
Okay, so his report's as follows. I apologize for not being able to make the tomorrow's Mike's meeting. I have to take care of my father. Anyway, the 2020 rules document is almost complete, and I'm waiting on the construction edits from Andy. Once I receive the updated construction info, I will send the document to Dave to get published on the website. In addition, I will send an email to Pete so he can forward it to membership, letting him know that the rules document is on the website. See you next meeting, Kevin Bidwell. Motion to approve Rules Committee report.
Motion to approve.
Second,
Second?
discussion.
We are still waiting for the results from this past year's convention to post online. We have not gotten those yet. The finalized results of everything.
Huh.
I was gonna talk to Kevin, but he's not here right now.
I thought those had already gone to Rick.
They had gone to Rick, but
So
they didn't come to
they
me.
just didn't come to you?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you gonna send an email for that, or?
I can do that, yeah.
I'm sorry, did you want to do it, or you want me to? Okay.
Either way, yeah, I'll send it to Kevin and BCCU so you're in the
Okay.
loop.
Okay.
Pete, what were you talking about as far as plastics?
Yeah, there's also, because he sent me an email, there were some changes in the plastics that I have to look over
Okay, and get back to
and
him.
get back to him.
Okay.
So that's another thing that's on
So
Hopefully we can get that
there, yeah.
soon and get that up on the
Yeah.
website.
And it had to do with the 3D print area.
Now, just so
Well,
we're
that's
clear,
okay.
that is something that we're working on as an organization. We're hoping that the day of the state convention, we can wrap up the rules changes. So right after the state convention, we'll have the new rules posted online for
So
the
we don't have
entire
this-
next school year.
Yeah.
So there won't be any of this guessing game. It's gonna be posted over the summer, so in September, teachers know these are the rules.
So, but I'm just trying to figure out, plastics and construction, those are the two that are having the most, I mean, drafting wise, I can still go on some of the old stuff, I'd be fine.
My understanding is, yeah.
Okay.
Other discussion for rules? Okay, membership report.
No, I'm just, we are at 254, and then Josh did send me those, but I'm not 100% sure that, I'm just curious if those were something that was from last, because I thought, did you shut it down? I thought you shut it down, but he just sent it to me the other
The
night.
membership?
Yeah.
You can still access
You can
it,
still get to
Can
it.
you?
yeah, I got to, because I printed it out and submitted it.
I think starting in the
Yep.
next 2
Then you-
weeks, it'll start like sending people info about auto renewing. So that will kind of start re-upping those numbers.
And then you printed out the
I
newest
printed it
one?
out and filled out, turned it in my
The newest one
administration.
that I sent you on there?
I just crossed it off and put in the new dates.
Yeah,
Well,
see, so
the
that's
newest
something that we
form-
gotta,
yeah.
we have to control that a little, we need to.
So the form I got from you was to
This
update,
coming, yeah,
okay, then I misunderstood. I thought it was for the membership profile stuff.
that too,
That I'm-
it's for
okay.
everything.
Okay, so I misunderstood that. I'll get that up this weekend then.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
so, okay, all right, I'll have to look at those three though, because some of them didn't even ring a bell that he had sent me.
There were, well,
There
I
was
know
three he sent me.
there were 3 membership attempts from
Yeah.
some unknown source
Yeah.
that I think were spam, and those accounts have been shut down,
So,
so we'll look into that.
yeah. Other than that, they're 254, we are actually down, because I know of 3 people that retired, so I took them right off, because their emails get kicked back to me, and I have about 10 emails from people that are kicked back, that I'm not sure if they're out of education. I tried to do a little search on them, but I couldn't find where they're at, so. I'm not sure, we're around the 250 people, that's what our membership stands at, of active members. And then there's 8 active life members. And then, I don't know how many life memberships we have. So that's my report.
Motion to approve membership report.
Motion to approve?
Second? Discussion? Yes.
Last week I registered as a new Mike's member. Did you get it?
I don't get
Or
it.
did Donald get it? Donald
Maybe that's one of them, you could have been one of them.
did. Okay. So,
I'll have to look.
threw the credit card in, said everything was good.
Okay. And
Thanks
I'll
for
probably be
registering
getting
early.
back with you
Yeah.
because there's information that I need that, I don't know if you've got it set up on the website.
I'm working on that.
So, yeah, so I'll get back with you at some point probably to give me some different, because we want to start, I want to have it, so on the website it matches more like what the paper copy looks like. So that way I know what subjects do you teach?
Welding, woods, electrical, sheet metal.
Right.
And small engines.
More like which ones don't you teach?
Facts,
Yeah.
FTC,
Yeah.
FRC.
Yeah.
Band director.
You know, because
Bus driver.
this is the problem I get, and since I used to be able to sort out, who were all the woodshop teachers, because somebody would ask, like, Johnson, well, I can't do that. So that's why I need to know what subjects people teach, so then I can sort out and say, okay, these guys are all woodshop teachers, so if they can get stuff from Johnson, I'm sure the automotive guy's not gonna want a lot of that
To our
stuff that I
printer?
send to Johnson, so. That's something that I think we gotta work on to figure out how to do.
If you need help searching for people, let me know. I can help you out, maybe. I'll try.
Maybe, I don't know.
Go ahead.
So this will start out with membership and probably go into David's report, because I texted David the other day. We had 3 teachers in Maple Valley that are Mike's members. One wasn't able to do it last year. He is now working in Shalat as a STEM teacher, 3D printing. He's trying to recruit 2 new people from Shalat to get 3 members, and we've never had anybody from Shalat besides for David Mays, I think. Try to get on the website, access our rules, can't do it. Asked David, apparently he has the executive board, which I don't remember, said no one can look at that stuff unless they're a member. My question is, if we're trying to recruit new members, wouldn't it be a good idea for them to be able to see what our rules are? So they can say, hey, I teach this every day.
You think?
The rules should be open, I thought they were.
No, we
No.
did,
No.
we did make that decision.
Yeah, that was Kevin, what was it, 2 meetings ago?
Two, yeah.
So are we trying to hide that from people so they can't steal our ideas? I'm not sure, but the point is, I would have to go, and I even went in, because I hadn't logged in yet, and I clicked on it, and it says rules, I can't get anything to come up. So
Right.
somebody as a member would have to download this and scan it, and then send it to those people. Seems like a lot of runaround. I mean, why aren't we letting people access this
Yeah.
stuff and want to become members? Maybe they should look at a few of those things. But as an organization, I guess we gotta discuss that. But there's 3 members in Shalat that will probably join if we can get them that information in a timely manner, so. that's all.
Yeah, I think, if I remember right too, we had talked about, one of the advantages of doing that closed was that members would have to pay for their membership to get in and do it, because we wanted people to register earlier, and we were trying to prevent people from all registering in right at the end of the, end of the school year. But what you're saying makes sense. you know, I see both sides of it.
And
You can always share out last year's rules.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
just-
I have tried.
Just with a stipulation on it that do realize these are last year's, they're gonna update, yeah. Keep track of them.
I don't know,
Generally,
somebody-
the changes
I think
that are
Kevin
made are
needs to be
huge
here.
changes.
Yeah.
The big one that changes is it goes from towers to bridges, but other than that, generally any rule changes are clarifications or, you know, we kind of finesse some of the things, but there's usually not a huge rule change.
I think from my perspective, we can go either way on it, but given that the rules, I think Kevin should weigh in on this. What we could do is, as soon as the new rules are released, we put those behind the membership wall. Last year's rules would be open.
Sure.
And so maybe, could we discuss that in a conference call so that we can get it figured out sooner?
Here's one problem with putting it behind the membership is that now when I tell students to go out there and look at what the rules are, they can't access
That's the
it.
other
So
one. Well, but-
I
Yeah,
have
that's
to do
that's
it.
a good point.
You as the teacher could access it and then share it through.
That puts more work on you though.
But it's just a matter of
I'm just-
downloading.
You just
I was trying to
download
play
it
the
and
whole,
posting
you
it.
know,
Yeah.
here's what somebody might say, like, I don't have a problem going out and grabbing it, putting it online somewhere for the students to see, but just.
I see no problem with just putting it online.
I don't either.
Just open for everybody?
Open forever.
Because that might draw people in, because that's another, now that you mentioned that, that's
Yeah.
something that,
We're hiding from it. We don't want you to see what we're doing. No, we want you to come in, please.
yeah, and now that you mentioned that, and that's something I think that as an exec board only, we need to discuss on our own is some changes that I would like to see done within the membership. Because if you got, like, in my district, there's myself, there's two of us that go, but then I know I could get other people, but they can't go to the conference. So do we, you know, just some pricing things.
As far as just competing in that conversation.
Yes. But I think as an exec board, we'll sit down and discuss that just
Okay.
amongst us.
Yeah.
So it needs to be an open.
So now that I've registered and paid the money, how do I get on this mice site?
I'll have to, I'll go in,
Okay.
because I'll be able to see, I'll be able to, you should have been,
Should have gotten an
All it
should
email.
have gotten
Take
an
the
email.
money
Did you
and-
get an email to do
I got
your,
nothing.
did you look in your spam?
No.
Yeah.
Look in your spam and see if you got something.
Of course, the one time I don't bring my laptop.
Yeah, but I went on Wi-Fi.
We do. You just have to go to
Oh,
Battle Creek, bring your own device.
oh. I'll look here in a second.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. We can probably take care of that in our closed door session.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike's website.
Okay, so we have a whole bunch of stuff going on. Right now, I'm about a little over halfway done building out the new competition system. The goal is right now to have the initial system finished by beginning of December, so that then we can get us a group together to test it out, see how much we can break it, figure out where all the bugs are, build out the reports, all that kind of stuff, so that we are ready by, I'm gonna guess, February, to have people start entering projects. That's the goal. So there's that. I just set up a member directory that is still in the process of getting some tweaks in it. And part of that is on hold because I'm building out the new membership registration form so that all of their profile information, which Pete was talking about, like their phone number, work number, what they teach, all of that type of information is recorded, or they can put in as soon as they join. And then that will feed into the membership directory, so we can look around to see who are all the wood shop teachers, who are all the metal shop teachers, and start building those connections. What else? And then we are also building out the mass mailing system, so that through the website, Pete could do all of his bulk emails, and it would also be CAN spam compliant with FTC stuff, so we don't end up getting our large emails flagged out, and we don't have to use the personal emails to take some of the liability off us individually. And then our future projects, we are still rebuilding the web team because people got busy with the school year and have not been able to do everything they have said they could. And one of the things, I don't know when I'm gonna tackle it, is start working with Rick to get more of the articles and the content we have published on the website, also in the journal, so that we can provide him with articles to help give some breadth to the journal. And then we are working on building out all the picture categories from all the pictures that were taken of the projects last year, and we're gonna put those up as viewable galleries by category and subcategory, so teachers can use them as examples. So that is my report.
Move to accept.
Second, discussion?
I got a question. Are you bringing back the thing, I know years ago you used to have like sub-plans, lesson plans, project plans, different things that teachers could post on. There was a link or something that you could post different, and we took that down.
Vince had it quite a few years ago, Vince did it.
Is that something?
We could do that.
I thought it was helpful as a
Yeah.
beginning teacher. It was huge for me. I mean, I don't need it anymore, but I'm just thinking for younger teachers, I was always pulling stuff off of that. Plans
Yeah.
and sub-plans and
Project ideas.
project
sub-
ideas.
Sub-plans even for, you know.
Just
Yeah.
anything, and it was cool, cause you had to post at least one thing or something like that to be
get
able to access, everything. It was kind of a cool,
We could totally do
Idea.
that. Yeah, that's something we could look into. I will tell you this, probably not until after convention this year would I be able to start tackling that,
yeah, it's just something that,
but it's definitely doable.
I liked it, I don't know, I
Yeah.
thought it was helpful for me, so,
And we can put like quizzes on too.
yeah.
Yeah, you can put anything you want up there.
Video clips.
Yeah, well, that's another thing we're gonna try and work on as we're getting more stuff in there. I'm gonna try and get a section of how-to videos, kind of our own YouTube,
Yeah.
where teachers could make a video on how to use a planer, for example, that they could send us the footage, and we would provide the editing service, because we have a growing video program in my school, and they've offered to help out with that. And we could then have videos, because we have so many different skills in this organization. Let's start getting that knowledge recorded and sent out to people.
And you could just post that on the website, and then we could just click on it and
Yep.
just show our kids.
Or you can
that
even
stuff.
download it for usage.
Right. And show-
Yeah.
yeah.
We could take and maybe showcase projects
Mhm.
in the home school shop, something like that.
Yeah, it'd be great for like how-to videos for projects too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had 4 of our safety videos in our wood shop. Andy Rulis in 2008, when he was working with us, we actually put them all on video, and that's how I teach the kids now.
Mhm.
We've got the teacher PowerPoint, we got a student PowerPoint and the videos.
Cool.
And I've downloaded those on flash drives and given them to new teachers and stuff. It's our tools and it's us.
I'd like them.
But it works perfect.
you could
It
put 'em on
gives
the
you a scenario
website.
of what you can do.
I'll
And
use
the
it.
kids that flunk these things, I have kids that would never pass these tests, after watching the video and taking the test like twice, they pass it 100%.
Right,
It
that's
helps
something that I would
much. It's
use,
that great.
those are huge.
So,
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, Jeff, maybe I can work with you to start building out a library of those safety materials that we could then offer to the membership.
yeah, I think it's a great thing.
Our website is endless potential. It really does. As our organization grows and Dave at the helm, it's gonna do amazing things, so. Any other discussion? Yep.
No, I just wanted to comment that I think those things and the pictures of what are winners in each category will make more of a difference to new members than what the rules are. So they're gonna wanna see, like anytime I do a competition, I wanna see what won last year, so I have an idea of what I need to do in my classroom. So I think those will be high selling points for people, even if they don't compete. It'll be a high selling point for them to become a member so they can access those resources. So I think it's another way to get people to be members, even if they're not competing. And there's a boatload of places out there that do that, and I think it's a valuable resource for us.
Adds value to our organization.
And I agree with you. If they're a good teacher, they should be able to look at that stuff and say, you know, to their students, if you want to be competitive in industry, once you get out, this is your competition. These are your, you know, your age students. You got to be at the same level as them if you want to be competitive.
Any other discussion? Okay. Reports from the leadership personnel, State Department of Education. As we know, we have started the school year without a State of Education budget, which is very stressful and hard on our school districts because they're making payroll and not knowing how much money they're actually getting from the state. Up to this point, up to actually September 19th, things had moved very slowly. The House and the Senate were pretty far apart, and obviously the governor was not really a part of what was going on. I did get an email from our representative, Matt Curda, who said that as many of you have already and no doubt heard the news today, the House Democrats yesterday afternoon cut a deal with House GOP to make some changes to the conference report for next year's school-age budget in exchange for Democratic votes, which passed 91-18. The changes negotiated by the House Dems include an additional $30 million for special education reimbursement, or a roughly 2% increase to the reimbursement, significant revisions to the at-risk boilerplate to avoid redirection, maintaining current law with respect to shared time, the language allowing rather than mandating school closures in respect to certain partnership agreements. It remains to be seen what the governor will do when the conference reports for school aid and other budgets are sent to her desk next week, most likely with little time to spare before the end of the current fiscal year. Needless to say, the turn of events yesterday afternoon was quite unexpected. So that's good news in the sense that the House and the Senate have agreed, and they're going to at least give something to Governor Whitmer on her desk that she can vote on. A part of that package is a $50,000 allotment for the MITES organization, which is currently in the budget. That has yet to be seen after talking with Matt several times about it. Those things a lot of times get cut, often get cut, I should say, because they don't like to send money directly to certain organizations. But as of right now, I encourage our membership to call their lobbyists or call their representatives and say, please keep the MITES budget line item in our fiscal budget, because that would be a huge asset to our organization to help fund both our state convention and our teaching seminars. So that is currently in the budget that is going to the governor. That is my report. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Yep.
How'd the 50,000 proposal get in there?
So Jim talked with,
My representative,
which is
Shane Hernandez, he's the ranking member in the House.
Shane Hernandez. It got to Matt Curda. Matt Curda was reading through and then needed to know the exact, so when they propose legislation, they have to tell exactly what the money is used for. And the money is used specifically for our convention and for teacher education. So we would be using the money to pay for the convention in part and for our conference in part.
Not the convention so much as
The student competition, part of the convention, right.
Is it 50 or 36?
Yeah, because your
36
report says 36.
It's 50 right now.
Okay.
Yep, I confirmed that with Matt. It's still 50.
Because it's, yeah, this is
That's
a
an
report.
increase of 14,000.
Yep. So, we'll see. Like I said, there, Matt is reluctant to say that we're going to be guaranteed this money because it very often gets cut.
Yeah, I would expect it's room to get cut. And what I told him was 36K, what we needed for competition.
Right.
With the follow-up that we invite the governor and legislative leaders to the convention in southeastern Michigan for a change. Holy smokes, what an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Good job,
Absolutely.
good job. You know, you keep beating that drum, one of these days.
Well, there's a, well, I'll look at my report, but I'll give it to you now if you want.
Nope, we'll wait for your report.
All
Other discussion? All right, college liaison, there was no report. Past presidents report. Anybody got anything? No report. Historian is vacant. Resolutions report. I got no report. Mike's journal, Rick. Yeah, that's, go ahead and read that one.
Rick's report states that I've worked on the post-conference journal as time permitted, but for the past several weeks, my time has been very limited. I did receive the competition results and the project pictures in August. This coming week, I hope to get back into working on the journal and get it done in the near future. The calendar is done and awaiting my receiving confirmation of some of the information. I will send it to Adam as soon as it is complete. Please send all information for the journal to me ASAP. I anticipate being at the November meeting. He has his target dates for the upcoming journals.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
discussion.
Any idea how Mrs. is doing?
She passed away.
Really?
Yeah, we observed a moment of silence at the beginning of our meeting.
Sorry, I
Yep,
missed that.
that's okay.
Was that recently?
Yeah, just on Thursday. Yep. As of right now, he doesn't want anything from the organization or
Yeah.
anything like that, but,
Yeah.
yep. So we'll keep him in our thoughts and prayers for sure.
Did he kind of give you any idea of the service?
Nope,
Thanks.
just private.
Yeah.
Newsletter editors report. Not getting anything from Pat. Says, please have members send any information they'd like electronically to pdriggers@endzone.net. And then reports of standing committees, constitutional revisions and bylaws. Oh, sorry.
Back up to the newsletter.
Yep, newsletter.
I'm gonna give them a call and see when they're gonna pop it out. If they don't pop it out, I'll pop one out.
Okay. And our newsletters are going online.
Yes.
Going out
So,
online, not mail.
they're going online, not mail. Yep.
Good.
And
Okay.
I can work with the newsletter editors to get them up to speed on that system.
Okay. Constitutional revisions.
We, you had talked to me about attending the meeting after the meeting regarding revisions. We revised the Constitution in 2012 and added to it in 2018. We revised the bylaws about 3.5 years ago. We're working on the handbook of duties and responsibilities for officers and chairpersons. And that's kind of my focus today. I haven't had a chance to really discuss with Adam about what future, what the whole thing holds. But that section is 40 pages long, so kind of heavily reviewed the first 10 pages. And, if we can knock off a nibble every time, that'd be great. Kim Shad, a year or so ago, went through all of them and made corrections with regard to punctuation and, I can't think of the term, but appropriate layout and so forth. And did a wonderful job. I mean, it's beautiful. I got her file with the notes in the side, and you click on the note. There's so many notes, I lost track, but it was primarily punctuation. The things that you need to look at when you refer to that section specifically are what you're responsible for, because somebody that's an RAO doesn't really care about the endowment committee responsibilities and stuff like that. So, if you can, if the membership chair can look over the membership chair section and give me some highlights, that would be wonderful. And the same for all of you, whatever. I know we're missing a few positions that we've created in the last 10 years. And, we need to figure out where that plugs in. You can revise the Constitution through procedure once a year at the annual convention. The bylaws and the handbook of duties and responsibilities you can revise at a board meeting. So it doesn't take a big deal. Make the proposal, we make the adjustments, everybody agrees, and it's done. So that's where we stand as of today. That concludes my report.
Motion to accept the report.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
as discussion, we are planning on going over the Constitution and bylaws at our closed session. For those of you who don't know, we have started to meet. We're going to meet as a closed-door executive board after the regular scheduled meetings at every meeting. So discuss the things that need to be talked about for the next meeting, and some of the things that are more sensitive in nature that we don't want in an open forum, just like a school board meeting or your own meetings that you hold. So we are going to go over bylaws and constitution today. At our next meeting, we're going to go over responsibilities and duties.
Okay, might have most of it done by then,
Okay.
but cool.
Dennis, can I ask, is just kind of a procedural thing, if you get any changes, if you can send them on to me so I can get them updated?
Once they're approved, I will.
Yeah, okay.
And you've got the most up-to-date as far as I know.
Mhm.
And absolutely.
Okay. Mike's Recognitions Awards. No report.
I will say that they have all the wood.
Yes.
It was delivered, and they're working on them, so
And paid for.
paid for,
Yep.
Johnson's paid for half of that, and we paid for the other half.
Cool.
Yep.
Can
Elections
I,
Committee.
Can I add a little blurb? Can I
Yeah,
add
we're in
a little
discussion.
blurb to yours? Dick Cryer, past president, gave a stack of logs to Steve Hugendorf for cutting. Actually, he brought a stack of about 3 semi-loads worth. We worked on Dick's pile. Dick gave us 2/3 of the pile, us meaning Steve Hugendorf and myself. And between he and I, we've cut up about 600 board feet for next year. That's heading to the kiln in about 3 weeks, so.
Awesome.
We should be in good shape for a couple of years.
Ahead of the game.
Yeah,
That's really good news.
yeah, it was kind of fun too.
Now, given I live 2 miles from Steve,
No kidding.
where does that wood go?
Right now it goes to Gulasarian,
Yes,
Allen Park High School.
okay, Jeff does all the plaques.
Are you delivering? Sounds good.
That's always the issue, getting delivery all the way to the east side. There's logistics there, but I think Johnson's ended up delivering it for free since they
Nice.
paid for half of it,
Nice.
so.
Yep. Any other discussion? Okay, elections, nominations. Dave did have one that we'd like to do, right?
Yes, I'm gonna.
And I can nominate
Public
Chuck.
Relations.
Okay.
And I'm gonna nominate Louis Davis to take over for me.
Okay, so the nomination has been made for Lois Davis,
Lois.
geez, sorry, to take over his publications. Public relations. I wrote publications out of my. That's why you keep me on track.
You're gonna be doing stuff you didn't know you were doing.
See, look at that, we just sign you up, you throw your name in the hat and it's done.
Sign me up.
Motion to approve,
Motion approved.
second. Any discussion?
Hallelujah.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations and good luck.
I'll be taking your brain,
Public relations, we'll have a report next time.
hopefully.
Spouses committee is vacant, student representative is vacant, scholarship committee is no report. Industrial contact committee, Jim.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna read it verbatim, you guys can read. I attend a political group that meets with the senator in my area and Shane Hernandez, who's a state rep. I also go to church with him. And he's gonna get us some money. He popped up with a 36K figure initially at the meeting. So, and I understand it's forthcoming soon. And Matt Kurta called me, I have no idea who he is. Who is he?
He is our lobbyist, and I gave him your telephone number.
I didn't know we had one anymore. Okay. All right, I'm gonna, do a finance committee meeting. I ran out of time, but I gave up copies of the previous journal. And we get support from those guys, I'm sure. So I got it from the house and I got it from the Senate. You guys can also go online and watch the meetings, right? They got them on video, live. Just tune right in and watch the committee meetings. Then I think, I get to check and see if you can interact online as well. And like I sent a video to them, you know, I had a video ready to go. So that's, if we, I don't wanna do a whole lot with that, as long as you get the money from one source, that'd be fine, and I'll let it rest. But that's, I'm gonna continue to do it until we have the money in our checkbook. But I'm pretty sure Shane will come through. What else here? And I'll be getting ahold of some other industrial groups and companies for support. And I don't know, like, throwing a question out, did CTE give us 25K or 5K? I mean, 2,500 or 5K or anything? Anybody know?
You talking ACTE?
Yeah, Michigan,
Not that I'm aware of.
because they were going to, I thought. I don't know if they did or not. They have no pass.
Yeah, we'll have to ask Josh.
What's that?
We'll have to ask Josh.
Okay, yeah, let me know ASAP, because I'm gonna go after some more. They give it away to, the regionals they have at the, I call it technical centers, REISs, right? So they're giving it a lot of money, likewise does the Department of Talent and whatever else they call themselves, economics. And they give them, CT groups at the skill centers money, right? But they ain't giving us any money yet. So I'm gonna fix that too. If they can do it for them, they can do it for us. Because they're only serving like 100 kids at these competitions, and we serve 4,000. All right, so next is a question, F. Do we send thank you note letters to our vendors? I don't call them vendors. Do we send
Yes, that's
thank you-
part of the vendor chair's responsibility.
Okay. I'd rather call them suppliers, that's what I'm used to doing. Vendor to me is like a guy with a monkey and a little thing, music box. So I read through the rules, and I'm supposed to have an industrial contact group. A couple of members per region. Anybody want to participate in that, or I'll send a note out to all different regions to get a participant via an industrial contact group. The purpose of doing that would be to have a working group to get more support. And give more support to people who have companies in their region who might like to donate, but don't know what the procedure is, or who to send money to, give them a journal, to make sure they have something to show the guys that it's really something nice, So the journal is still very impressive. So I'm gonna try to get that run. Let's see. And I'm glad to make presentations to any members, school or region or industrial group, school board, company, whatever. And I made up a nice little slide presentation. I got a little video on it too, of the convention. Newsletter. I'm gonna call, what's his name, at Paris, and see if he's gonna pop one out. So, what's his name? I don't know.
Oh, Paul.
Yeah, right, George. Anybody know if he's coming out soon, or what?
I don't know.
All right, so if you don't mind, I'll give him a call and see what he's set up to do. If it's gonna be a while, I'll pop one out. So we gotta communicate in our group. Send them all the minutes from this, send that out to all the membership, so they know what's going on. All right. Let's see. That's about it, I guess. Oh, Along those lines, my last issue here, item is, if you got, you can send a picture or two of a nice piece of gear, project, student working on a project, or like on YouTube, you wanna do a video on YouTube about a project, we can do that, put it online. Right, Chuck Lucci's online, right, you've seen that?
Mhm.
He's online, bragging about what we do. So you got, and then also, my memory, Dave, somebody, who was the last president, convention chair?
Robert Lindsay was the last
Lindsay.
convention chair.
Lindsay's, he's got a video, right, with a speaker we had. It's a very nice
Yeah,
video,
he does.
right? And Chuck Lucci's online, very nice video to send out to our membership to show the people, right? So have a nice communication. See that we're really live and viable and doing a good job, right? Supporting the economy. And I always put it out that we support the economy by providing talent. Not like the Department of Talent and whatever else they call it, economics. They don't produce any talent, they talk about it, we do what they talk about. Okay? Guys like the uses group, and they're there to make money and they support the regional competitions they have for the skill center areas. That's all they do. To me, it's a joke. Waste of money. Anyway, I'm moving my report to accepted.
Second.
Discussion?
When Paul does his newsletter, I don't think it didn't happen last year, I'm not sure if it happened when Brian was the president.
I don't think it did.
But those newsletters will run through you prior to going to Pete to go to members, right?
Yes, it should be.
And then what it'll have, what it actually will go to, it should be, and then I'm not gonna send, I will send a link or something. I could do it that way too. Can you send me a link and then I can send, or make them
Yep.
log into the website, you know?
The system will blast out the emails for you.
So once we have approval, it
Once
just
we
goes
have-
directly to you, and you can send,
And it'll blast it out, then I can blast it out.
Perfect.
I just want to check, make sure you're gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it.
Yeah, and I think it's important to have those, especially with the quarterly journals not being printed, so.
I think it comes down to getting the content.
That's the
to
biggest
you
part.
and
Yeah.
getting,
Nobody sends the content. That's
Yeah.
the big, ask Paul, that's his biggest.
well, that's the journal, that's
Same
the
thing with the
website,
journal.
that's the
Yeah.
newsletter. It's getting members involved in making some
Yep.
content rather than just
Yeah.
a small group of us.
It takes one-on-one contact, maybe. Give me a picture of your latest project or whatever. We'll have a short, right, it doesn't have to be 6 pages.
Nope.
You know, 2 paragraphs is fine.
Even one paragraph and some pictures.
you
Yeah.
know? So most guys are, receptive to something like that. Not wanting to give them a big burden, just keep it short and simple. But to encourage other members, show what else is out there. If they got some procedure that, for something they do in their shop, they could show a short video clip for YouTube or something like that. And we put a newsletter, hey, check this out.
All right, is there any other discussion?
I'll say I work on one because I just had 3 students at L.L. Johnson's. They had their wood expo, so I had 3 of my students actually running the sawmill, cutting 18 logs for all their people that were there. So I can write something up for the kids.
Very cool.
Perfect.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
And I think I've got 6 articles scheduled over the next month or 2.
So are you looking for articles that are just from the membership, or? 'Cause
I don't think necessarily has to be.
No.
I think anywhere.
Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, from people in industry or encouraging.
Well, yeah, because we all use different equipment in our shops. It would be nice to do maybe, here's a piece of equipment I'm using, and maybe get the vendor to add whatever to, a little blurb to it or whatever. Because how many times I know, at least in our region, we send out, who's using this? I need a new piece of equipment. What's your recommendation? What does everyone else use? Why do you like it? Why don't you
Yep.
like it? Kind of thing.
Equipment reviews would be
So,
great.
yeah, equipment review thing would be an awesome resource for us again to go to and say, how much did you pay? What vendor did you use? That kind of thing. What do you like about it? What don't you like about it?
You get CNC questions all the time. What piece of equipment, I've got 3 different CNCs, there'll be a 4th one here pretty soon. What software are you using? Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Safety test for it, you know.
And with those articles on the website, you can put comments up there once you're logged in and reply to each other's. Well, not in the, you can do it in the forum, but then in the article too, you can have threaded comments and have kind of conversations specific to that article right there too.
Just have to make everybody aware of it.
So, well, exposure.
Would
Other
that-
dis-
I'm sorry, would that get sent to you then, or who does that get sent to? You
To me.
first?
Yep,
Everything can be
Yep.
president.
So I move my report be.
we did that, we're in
We did that.
discussion.
that. We're in discussion.
Any other discussion for industrial contact? Okay. Student leadership, no report. Retired teachers,
I was kind of shooting my mouth off at the past president's breakfast about, man, we need to get people together, and Bill Asarian suggested we all come to my shop, and my shop's not done, so that hasn't happened yet. But hoping for the next few months, and the goal was to bring your past presidents together, at least those that could make it, and just have a sit down and discussion, and maybe start dealing with, let's put together a handbook of how-to for the future leadership of the group and see how that goes. So that stuff's all kind of in the thought process at this point. Otherwise, I have no report.
Update the blue book again?
Working on that, yeah, we're doing that right now.
we're doing that after today's meeting.
We've
Motion to
been
accept the
doing it for a long
report.
time, so, yeah.
Motion accept.
Second, discussion? Okay, Mike's endowment,
No change to the endowment since May. No additions, not much interest. Happy to see, Josh, just discussion-wise, Josh has brought forth a proposal that we've been trying to get made for a long time, as far as let's at least invest in CDs. I'm really curious where he's finding 8% CDs, but, 2.25 maybe, but 8. If he can find 8, I'm going to his bank, I'll tell you that. But it's just food for thought, absolutely, he's got a proposal to start doing that kind of investing with our endowment funds. Why not do that with some of our other funds as well? We don't spend it until it gets close to convention time, so why not buy a 6 or 9 or even a 12-month CD for a good portion of our interest and get that, 5%-ish instead of 0.2, which it's been stuck at 0.2 forever, so. Just food for thought when you get to making decisions. Go ahead and invest it. Like you said, the penalty is, you lose 6 months' interest, or 3 months' interest, depending on the length. Well, if we need to do that, but I think we can flow within that outline and actually turn some money back in.
motion to accept,
Motion to accept?
second, discussion? Go ahead, Jim.
I've got one, I forget what you call it, fidelity, right? I don't know what term is it, like a annuity or something like that.
Yeah.
I've made 800% on it.
The issue that we've had all along, and really right from the beginning in 1999 and 2000, was that members of the endowment committee, which was basically the executive board, did not want to stick their neck out too far and wanted guaranteed interest for a while. And as I've said in the past, through 2006 to 8, we'd have lost 40–50% of the value. But since then, we would have made money. So, it's a decision by the group on how to invest that. And, you're CD-wise, you're still safe because it's FDIC insured. But if you want to go farther, hey, nothing ventured, nothing gained is what I've been saying.
I look back at my memory banks are shot all the time.
Go to the
Anyway, I'll go
casino, place it
online
on
and
black.
get Fidelity Fund.
I'm
I'll
sorry.
tell you which
Yeah,
one.
places. I'm sorry, Jim.
I'll tell you, I'll go online and tell you which fund I have. Because I tell you, it went up like a zillion %.
Yeah. Yeah.
800% sound like good. And so it's extremely safe.
But not guaranteed.
Not guaranteed that.
That's where the problem was.
Track record
I can
As per
name
your
the
track
handful who were adamant about it. Nobody new has come along that's said any different, so we've been doing the status quo for a long time. It's obviously way past time to make a buck.
I'll back you on that, Dennis, because out of everybody in this room, I think I was betting me, you, and Jim are the only three that probably were at some of those meetings.
Yeah.
Out of
Yeah,
everybody
we're talking
else,
about
everybody else
2000, 2001,
is-
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
What was the thought process back then?
As far as investment,
Yeah.
They didn't want
Or
to-
not
they-
investing.
they wanted safe investment, and
Yeah.
at that time, you could find 4 or 5%, in a savings account. No biggie.
Yeah, they didn't want it, and they didn't want that money to be tied into that CD. I remember there was
Yeah.
some pretty good discussion on.
And we, since we weren't doing anything like that, we just left everything in the general
Yeah.
fund and accounted for it through my bookkeeping, and obviously the treasurers, but we relied on what I provided for them, so.
I think annuities are the term I was searching for.
Yeah, those are generally, not guaranteed funds.
It's gone up like 800%.
Yeah. Well, it also went down 40%, so 800% increase and lose almost half of it is a big chunk of money. But we're still making it,
Still up 400%.
since, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm just relaying the attitude of the committee, which we haven't met in the last 5 years, not really. I've invited and nothing much goes, so. Content to let it ride. Well, we're at a point where we're not so content.
Yeah.
And it's a safer time. I mean, you, at the very least, do the CD thing. I mean, I see
Yeah,
Josh has got a proposal.
I feel, especially, moving forward with the endowment and playing a little bit with the endowment.
Yeah.
And then figuring out where we want to take the general, pot, I guess, would be a good way to explore it.
You
It
know.
makes me nervous. I won't lie, I'm one of those people who, and I have my own investments and they do go up and down.
Yeah.
But the truth in the matter is, the longer you keep it in there is how you make money. So,
When we started this in 1999 was the first proposal, and it was approved to move forward at the convention in 1999. George Hank wanted to go with an investor that he knew in Midland, who, felt like, we could probably clear 8% for, in perpetuity, and also recruit donations from business and industry. And George was the gung-ho guy, and George got sick, and I inherited the job, and so far, nobody's willing to share that load. So I haven't done a whole lot of it. It's way past time for, the next chair to take that one over, too. And that chair needs to be motivated to sit down and write and make contact, and sorry, but piled on everything else, I chose not to make that my focus.
Is there somehow, though, we could take this, and I'm looking at this because of our community, we have what we call the Coopersville Area Foundation. Well, we're actually part of the Ottawa County Foundation. They actually merged everything. And the reason I'm saying this is because my daughter, who received a scholarship from a family, they were, family farm, both the grandparents passed away, and they had money they wanted to give away. Well, it made it faster when they took that money and they put it into this foundation, and they call it the UBank Scholarship, and they were able to hand out the money. And the same thing as our FFA chapter, we have a scholarship through this foundation that they were able to pull out they handed out $4,000, just, through a foundation. Could we take that money and find a foundation that we can put it in, because it helps it, to me, it made it easier to distribute that money out, and it helped actually get it so you could put it out there faster. Is
We
there
can create a
some,
foundation.
but is there one that we could go into,
Utilize their service.
and utilize their service?
One that's
yeah.
already established.
It's already established, and that's what, something, is that something that we could look at, a foundation somewhere that would
Why don't we establish a foundation?
If-
So we're doing all the work.
We're doing all the work, it's already
Different
established,
departments.
it's already established, and that way our,
Work to get our person actually-
some, I don't know, maybe I'm,
Well, when you go into a foundation too, you have a larger amount of money, so you're
Yes.
earning more interest and you feel less of that impact.
yes,
And
and that's
then
what
the
it,
market
and
goes
that's what
down,
it
it
was.
comes up. So you're purchasing, it's almost like doing a co-op in this
Yeah.
foundation. Multiple organizations contribute. Your money's still your money, but they're kind of running it and investing it and doing that so that it makes life easier, I guess, as us, because I don't know. Most of us are teachers, we don't teach finances.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, and I didn't understand, but yeah, this family, they donated money, they wanted it for somebody who was going like to the Michigan State Ag Tech Program, that's who it goes to. Somebody in a 2-year ag degree, and they put it into the foundation, and it's,
The
yeah, it's
foundation
all-
manages the
The foundation.
account and the disbursement.
Yeah, and they dispersed
The
it, same
family
thing.
just funded it and,
Yeah,
you know, gets their
yeah,
name
the
on
family,
plan.
yeah. And the same thing with the, because all the money for the FFA scholarships that our school gives comes from our land lab, and they just put it into the, and they just.
How would you find one of those?
I know, that's what I'm wondering, is like, where is there one that would cover, encompass
A larger
a
area.
large, like the state, because of the fact that ours just encompasses
Right.
Ottawa County.
Council of Michigan Foundations is a statewide group.
So I don't know if there's, if that was, is that, you know, would that be a good, I don't know, would it make it, could we take and disperse our money?
What's it called? Council of?
Council of Michigan Foundations. I'm assuming they're still in business. We went somewhere around 2004 or 5 and did a presentation to them. 3 of the past presidents went.
You know, and it seemed like back then though, foundations, now it seems like that's a big,
Yeah,
you
It
know,
was
back
pretty
then it
big
seemed
then.
like they were
I
just.
mean, that was through Abrams that got us
Yeah.
in the door to this group,
Yeah,
you know.
I don't know if that's something,
Something.
too, instead of us, yeah.
My
people
initial
look into
feeling
it.
is
Yeah,
it'd
we
be a
would look
challenge to
at-
find that person,
Yeah.
that group.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean they're not there.
Yeah, something,
Pardon me?
you know, and they
Yeah,
still,
it
they're
is.
the ones when people apply for the scholarship.
You know,
The family is the
again,
ones who
we need an
still say, okay, this
individual
person gets it.
or
Yeah,
small
yeah.
group that's really motivated to kickstart us again.
That's what we need.
Yeah, it would actually,
When George Hank proposed the idea of MITS endowment, you know, he projected $1 million in the first 8-10 years, and, you know, we're only 998,000, something like that shy. So, but, you know, George was the motivated and the contact guy with Midland and Lions and the whole thing. He had some contacts that not many of us have. So, yeah, worth a look.
but the problem is these
Pick
things
your
don't
focused
actually-
month when this is gonna happen.
I like the casino idea.
Casino.
Okay, moving on. Educational Resources Committee, we have no report. Construction, we have no report. Automotive, we do have a report. In June, the Mites Auto Instructor Competition Committee met to review.
That's the game.
Jim?
I'm sorry?
We're doing another report.
Sorry.
No problem. The committee met to review the 2019 contest and how it can continue to work to improve the competition. First off, we would like to say a huge thank you for helping us get this competition up and going again. The secondary for helping with registration and lining up the site to host the competition. We, as a committee, know how much work it takes to put on a quality event for students, and it really takes a whole team effort to pull it off. That being said, the committee discussed some items we would like to see happen in the future, and some of them to continue we are already doing. To make this event better for students, and we are hoping you can accommodate and continue to help support this effort, we have summarized the items below. We would like to continue to see Mites members help with being the liaison and the point person in both the planning of the day and the competition for the host site, registration, the food, the prizes, managing the overall contest, scoring, prizes and awards, and this should probably be more like 4 or 5 people, which last year it was 2 people. Communications was a problem this year all across parties. set up an email or text group for the committee, which we did today for all automotive instructors, so people aren't left off the communications. They would like to have a mandatory 2 or 3 meetings, meetings on a school day during the school year for planning. The automotive instructors will continue to be in charge of the stations and judging. We would like to go back to having instructors who bring students participate in helping run the stations and do the individual station scoring. They want to improve the registration process. The website still is hard to use. The rules listed on the flyer and that on the website don't match, and that caused some confusion. We understand that your organization has to charge dues to provide services for members. As automotive instructors, the conference itself does not provide a huge benefit, as we have a lot of other opportunities to receive professional development. So we are hoping that our dues might be spent differently, not to have student fees for the competition, as an example. Go back to having other schools or vendors sponsor lunch. Not charge vendors for conference booth space at our competition who are sponsoring meals or prizes, since most of the automotive instructors do not attend. Increase the number of prizes and giveaways for students so everyone can leave with something. Can Mite use some of our money to provide a small scholarship for the overall winner? We would like to see the competition rotate around to different schools again. While OCC has been a great host, having it at Oakland for a 3rd year was a surprise to us, and the committee didn't know anything about the future plans until it was announced the day of the competition in May. Limit the competition to 100 students to allow up to 4 students per school so that we can keep it all in a reasonable workday time frame, which we have the last 2 years. If scholarships and food that is donated by other colleges is the problem, we would like to go back to hosting it at different career centers or high schools that are big enough to accommodate. Again, we want to thank you for your support in this and are hoping you can help accommodate some of these changes for the future so that we might continue to improve this competition. We understand it's summer break, but in order to keep a reasonable timeline for this to happen by next school year, we'd appreciate a response by September 1st so we can plan accordingly. We look forward to your response. I have not responded to this because I wanted to bring it up at a board meeting. So do I have a motion to approve that report?
So moved.
Second. Okay, discussion. What's that?
Yeah, where do I get started?
Yeah.
Ryan, if anybody doesn't know the history, Ryan had about 8 or 10 people he was organizing. He ended up having to do it all. He scheduled meetings, hardly anybody showed up, he couldn't get him to do conference calls. I told him last year as a president, I was not running the automotive show, that's not what I signed up for. We have teachers that are involved with that. Brian ended up doing all of it, everything. And then when we got down there, of course, after the end when they were giving awards away, because I know Adam was doing that when he was scoring it, because the only ones really doing anything was Adam, myself, and Rob was floating around. None of the other teachers are doing anything to organize to help themselves. At some point, they got to accept some responsibility and actually say, you know what, if we're going to run this event, we have to actually do something. And to listen to that report, it sounds to me like they're like, well, you guys need to do all this stuff. And we want to take our money and we just want to have it spent on us.
I mean, like,
They got to do something and help themselves.
Yeah.
Because I'm not doing it again.
I run or I'm chair for the MD category, which is the biggest category that we have. And I actively recruit, not only throughout the year, but at Mites as people are dropping stuff off to stay and help do things. And it's a volunteer organization. It's not a, here, you guys do this. You gotta have the people involved, and I think that's why partly the automotive went away, because there was nobody willing to, that taught the automotive, they weren't willing to participate and help run it. And it's a volunteer organization. If you don't have the people to run it, then you need to get those people committed in by October. And if they're not committed in October, then there's no competition. Maybe it's an every other year thing, but, they complain about doing it at OCC, but nobody else really stepped up to say, hey, let's do it here instead.
Well, we tried to do it other places and it didn't work.
Right, but I'm saying, how many of those, who tried, was the automotive
Right.
teachers
Yeah.
jumping in to say, here's,
Yeah.
I wanna host it, or I wanna run it? And I think that, I don't know huge history, but I think a lot of the history has been, do it for us, rather than let us do
It kind of went
this.
away when Gene When Gene moved on to administration and it.
Yeah.
One thing that caught my attention when you were reading the report was they want to take some of the money that was used for the entries and stuff and put it towards scholarships. $200, well, then let's do it for everything, you know what I'm saying? I don't agree
Yeah,
with
no,
that statement, that's
yeah,
what
you're
I'm saying.
very right.
But my statement is then, well, if you're gonna do it for automotive, well, then why don't we do it
Yeah.
for architectural, why don't we do it for mechanical?
It's gotta be an all or nothing thing.
Well, not to
Right.
mention
They
what
need
they
to
didn't
get
mention there is,
scholarships
if
then.
we use that money to pay for their food expenses. So Mike's actually didn't make any money on the membership dues that the automotive teachers pay.
Yeah.
They pay a different
Well,
membership
their
than
dues
other
go
people?
towards,
No,
That's what I thought.
but their dues go towards everything, it goes towards the journal, it goes towards,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, the running of the organization, and they're making it
Facility
sound like, well,
costs.
they're putting money in, not getting anything back
I mean-
for it. And granted, the sessions at the state competition are not really set up for automotive. And so they're saying, well, our vendors are gonna be here, but we're not gonna have teachers here. And if the vendor decides to pay for food, then they shouldn't have to pay for their booth. They have the option to pay for the booth, you know, and be set up there. The money then would go towards food if they don't pay. I mean, it's their option to pay, if they wanna pay for food and put their name out there, fine. If not, it's gonna get paid for, you know, so.
I think
Go ahead.
one of the complaints about, because the automotive was done on a different day than the rest of the competition was, one of the complaints that I heard about was the vendors had to pay this huge amount but didn't have the traffic they were expecting at their tables, because there weren't a lot of instructors there. You know, the only thing I could say is the solution would be to try to do them at the same time. I'm guessing this year we're doing them at the same time.
Same
I was
location.
looking at those vendors now, you know, I might walk through and be like, oh, I know an automotive teacher that didn't participate, I might send your information on to, kind of thing. So one of the complaints was that the vendors didn't get as much traffic as they expected.
Well, and you said this year is gonna be,
It'll be
both
the same.
things are in Oakland.
All things, the construction, the automotive, and the regular.
Same days.
So.
But that's not something that's traditionally gonna happen, so
No,
I
I
don't
know
know
that.
that.
Oh, I
What
know
year
that
was
because
it
I
we
in
had,
Lansing.
But it used to be.
The wood, or the
Well,
construction
yeah.
competition
Primarily.
right next to the auto,
Saginaw Valley.
Saginaw Valley, and that was awesome. I mean, there were so many, not just
So much
students,
traffic.
teachers, but there were parents there.
Yeah, but
had
that
come up.
can't happen because the automotive competition wants to do live competitions, which personally I fully support.
Mhm.
So they have to do it at an automotive site.
We had it at the Lansing Center a few years ago too, they were all there.
We
too.
had it
Right.
there too, that was the
Right.
last
Okay.
one.
But just so everybody knows too, while you were still keeping score for hours, I had asked all the teachers to come out in the hall and said, we're planning on having it here at OCC again. Does anybody have any issues of the facilities or anything else that's going on? Not one person said no, they don't want to do it here. And not one person ever emailed me after the fact and said, Jeff, I have concerns about you having this event at OCC.
Well,
They
so-
should love having it at OCC, I don't know
And
where
how
the,
many people volunteered to host it at their place?
Well, you know, it was at the School and Tech Center for years too,
Nobody.
and they did all the work for them.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if this would be helpful to you before you reply, but a phone call with Gene Pierce probably would be informational, you know. Tell him what's going on and what responses you got and see what he has to say as well. But I think you have the gist of what our feeling is. Put up or shut up.
yeah.
Is that about right?
Let's say that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
If they wanna move around though, do they know other sites that they can go to that would accommodate
Well,
them?
that's something that their committee's gonna have to
They're the
explore.
ones.
Right,
You know,
because
in
so many
my
places
mind-
have closed down, that's been part of the
Right.
problem.
You know, it's been run by non or no longer auto shop teachers for nearly its whole existence, which should tell you something.
We toured Ferris, 4 years ago?
Yeah,
And they had facilities for it. They wanted us to go up there, and that was another option. But they couldn't hold the state event they didn't have anything big enough, we'd have been spread across the whole campus. But automotive could be there if they wanted to organize and do that.
Well,
There's options.
Ferris does have the facilities now.
They got some more buildings.
According to Dan Fairs has
Yeah,
facilities.
you
They've redone a whole bunch of stuff up there.
Because when I talked to them at one time.
Either
they
way,
said,
you know, they have a 10-person committee. And I personally, as the president, feel like their committee should run like the construction does. Whereas they have a group of teachers, they organize it, they run it, they look for us for support. But it's ultimately their committee, and it's their competition. And they run it how they want. So, I'm hearing their grievances, but I don't know that we have the resources to support the automotive competition in the way that they're asking for our support, either monetarily or physically with people. Especially this year, you know, last year, like you said, I sat at a judging table or a counting table for 5 or 6 hours, and then I went and gave out awards. This year, it's not gonna be like that, because we don't have the MITE members and past presidents to help them run their competition. They have to be able to run it on their own this year, entirely, because we're gonna be at the state convention.
You know, when Brian brought up trying to get this thing going again, I mean, that's what he was doing. Give them a boost, get them back on their feet. Now you take it, here you go, little bird. We're at the little bird stage, I think,
We are.
or the.
And it seems like they have a
adolescent
core group
bird.
of people. They just need to own it.
Yeah,
I think a recommendation to them should be that if you want more combined support, then they gotta work on working with us to be at the same events. They're gonna get the foot traffic, they're gonna get the, you know, there's gonna be other teachers from other organizations that'll be at that event that might be able to help them out then when they need it.
There's probably zero that would.
There's problems when you try to be at the same event, because we ran into that problem at Lansing, because you can only have so much gas in the cars. That's the problem. If you try to hold, we're at OCC, yeah, because
Right.
they're off in their
That's
automotive
their-
area.
Right.
they're still
That's what
separate,
makes
but at
it
the same
work,
time.
where if you try to do it, like at Saginaw and Lansing, which there's room somewhat at Lansing, it was pretty packed, but then you run into issues with the cars being in there and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Okay, I will formulate a response and work with them. I do not want to lose the automotive competition. I'll tell you that right now. They bring in the most vendor sponsorships, number one. And number two, it's a huge chunk of kids that we target. And one of the reasons that Skills USA and some of these other organizations became so successful is because we weren't meeting the needs of all of our members. So we have to remember that, as frustrating as that is sometimes, we are here for all of our members. And those 15 automotive teachers are just as important as our metal shop or our drafting or any other teachers. So we'll move forward. Good. Appointments, there are no appointments. Old business. REO qualifications to have an election. This came up. One of our regions wanted to change some things, and actually it is in our constitution right now. So I'm going to go ahead and read that. The regional administration officers shall be members of the society. They shall give their respective regions as the administrative members of the board of directors. Their region members shall elect regional administrative officers for a term of 2 years, the first year being an assistant to the current RAO, and the second year being the RAO. In the event of a vacancy in this position of the RAO, the newly elected assistant becomes the RAO for a 2-year term. So what this means is we wanted to have some appointments made either by the board or the president, but that is not allowed in our constitution. So the region itself has to hold an election to elect its own RAO. And regardless if we like that person or don't like that person or whatever, so be it, unless they are not meeting the needs of that position, that's the only way that a president can take them out of that position. So if they are not actually meeting the needs of their duties of responsibilities, which we also have outlined, so the only way we can remove them is if they're not doing that. If not, it has to go through an election process in that region, and what that region election says goes. Then they become an assistant RAO, and then they become an RAO. So that has changed, and we're going to have to communicate that. I'll have Chuck communicate that to his RAOs, because right now we have multiple RAOs that just continue as the RAO, and we never switch that position. Today, in our closed door session, I have in my notes, are we gonna keep that? Is that still applicable for today's society? You know, some REOs wanna continue being the REO and only switch the assistant REO to allow for different host sites, but keeping the continuity of one person in charge. So that's something the executive board's gonna look at. But for this year, currently, because we won't be able to vote on this until much later to change our constitution, this year currently, the region elects it, that person becomes an REO, then they become an assistant REO, then they become an REO. So hopefully that answers our old business about qualifications for elections. Is there discussion on that?
Is there a procedure for elections?
Would the election be held at the REO competition, or at the regional competition then?
No, because they'd already have to have those, the
Yeah.
REO and
For the next
assistant.
year.
It doesn't say that anywhere in our constitution or bylaws, how that election needs to take place.
You got email, well,
Yeah, we could do
Yep,
it.
I mean, the RAO can send out a blast, email, we're hosting an election, these are the candidates. Technically, there's supposed to be 2 candidates, that's something we're gonna look at possibly changing in the Constitution, but there should be 2 candidates as well.
Per position.
Right.
We
Say
could set up
something
an
like
online
preferred.
voting system.
What's that?
Instead, you know, you can mandate all you want, but if there's only one person
Yeah.
willing to do the job,
Right.
you're wasting
Volunteers,
your ink.
volunteers, that's
Right.
what you get. I mean, it's like with any other election
Right.
publicly.
Are we having a glut of people getting bypassed because they want to be an RAO, but there's no election? Is that?
Well, there's one specific region where
Region 5 is usually populated.
where there's multiple people that want that position, and there's good reasons why they should or shouldn't have that position. But ultimately, our Constitution says the elected person is it, is how it's written. So unless they're not doing their duties and responsibilities, I, as a president, have no right to remove them from that office position.
Let's write maybe something from the newsletter, positive note. Everybody should be able to stand up and take a turn. All right.
How's that gonna affect the regions that, you have 2 regions hosting a competition, then you're gonna have
There's
2
always one.
REOs and 2 assistant
Well,
REOs?
and I think if there's a problem,
You know what I'm saying, because there's what, 2,
executive committee.
how many are there? 2 combination ones or just 1 combination one? 3?
3 maybe.
3? So I mean, how does it affect those people?
Exactly.
I think they'd
Because I
have to
mean,
work that out.
they're hosting because the numbers are low enough that, hey, if we have it in one location, we can get the judges, we can get people bringing it. But then are we going to have 2?
They technically still
But
have
they're
2
in charge
separate
of their
REOs.
region.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, 'cause
what is it,
there's
11 and
such a
12?
region,
They're
just
still in
hosting
charge
it.
of 11
The
and,
REO
Yeah.
doesn't have to host it if there's.
no, in the
No.
REO.
No.
That's not stated
You
anywhere.
know, they're not getting that background information because they don't have any REO meetings until March.
Which that's changing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That is happening.
But that's how we,
Before our
part of
meetings.
how we've gotten to this stage.
Yeah, it is.
You know, there's no communication,
Right.
so God bless you.
Well,
We're tackling a lot of things.
Yeah,
Well, my
well, sorry you have
question too
to.
is, I guess we'll have to see what the turnout is. You know, if you only have 2 REOs, how is that?
It's usually, you know, who's willing to volunteer, and there's no
Exactly,
point in
yeah.
holding an election because you got one person that says, I'll step up.
Right.
So,
Or somebody being drafted.
yeah,
Or everybody's saying,
Sounds
what'd
like
you
you
do
got
this?
drafted.
Maybe you got that.
Would you be willing to,
Okay, any other discussion on that?
Well, I just want to say, and another reason why this is important is after having an event region at our school for 2 years, my numbers went way up.
Oh, yeah.
And we've had some REO people who had actually had the regional events at their school for like 8 years straight because it was helping their programs, which refused to move because someone else wanted to promote their program and they were being pretty selfish. So if I was a dictator and I had it at my school for 8 years, everybody that's in our region, that's not fair to them. So by having this vote, we can help move some of these things around. I won't say anymore.
Okay, any last things? Food for thought on that. Okay, in old business, we needed,
I'm sorry, can I
oh,
ask
go ahead,
something?
yep.
Sorry. So, It's every 2 years, so actually it's only 1 year. So you're an RAO for 1 year and then your assistant becomes the RAO for the second year.
Yep.
And you're out. Do you become the assistant or do you now do an election for an assistant?
If you get elected.
You have, the election is technically for the assistant.
Okay.
Yep.
So you're really doing an election every year.
Yes.
Yes.
For the upcoming
And the election's
assistant.
not
So is there a limitation as to how many times that
No.
you
How many
can
term
do that
Like a term
position?
limit?
No, there's not.
Well, do it again if you want.
Right, that's right, so you could be an assistant and then
You
turn around
could be a
and.
president, the next year you'd be an assistant again. The question that, the thing that comes into question is, that we're gonna have to look at in our closed door meeting is, some of our regions wanna keep the same RAO. The same, always, year to year.
Well, then they-
And
So-
that's fine if they're elected.
But they're not,
But
because
they
they're
would-
elected to an assistant
Because they'd
RAO.
be assistant.
But does
Yeah.
that, well,
So,
We'll talk about
yeah.
that's something
Yeah.
we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
You know-
I guess that was kind of my question is, what, if I want to be that RAO and all my people want me to be the RAO,
Why
why are
can't
you
you be
going to
an
make me be an
I agree.
assistant?
What Yasmin
So-
said though, you can be an RAO and the next year a nobody, but you can still host the show if everybody agrees.
Right, well, it's not so much about
That's the-
hosting, it's more about that leadership position, I think. If-
And I do know, like Kim, when you would collect the stuff, she's liked it from people like me who had been doing it long enough.
Sure.
Everything was
Well,
correct.
they
When you
knew
got
what they
those
were
that
doing,
changed all the
exactly.
time, she
Yeah.
had a lot
That
of.
if we're gonna
issues.
change it, I think you almost need to do, the RAO is 2 years. Because you're learning the first year, the second year, hopefully you got it down pat, and you pass it on to your assistant then.
Then the sales pitch to recruit new people is a
The-
lot harder. That's the only
And
drawback.
I don't have a problem with if they vote, they wanna vote that RAO and they'd stay the RAO forever. I think
Yeah, as long as there's
that needs to
input.
be looked at, yeah.
Which it sounds like that's where we're
let's-
going.
we have a lot
We're gonna
of
talk
discuss.
about that at our after meeting, so. Clarify executive board and board of directors, that's happening in our closed door session, so at our next regular meeting, the board will have, put forward to you as a membership, where we'll present for our first reading, the changes and proposed changes to the Constitution and bylaws regarding what is the executive board and what are the board of directors. New business. Do you want to read the new business, or do I read the new business?
There's none.
It's that proposal.
Okay, new business proposal. This is from Josh. As stated earlier in my report, the endowment fund has gained an accrued 2.38 in interest in 2018 and only 72 cents this far in 2019. The annual percentage yield of 0.02% earned on this amount. This equates to only 2 pennies for every $100. At the current rate of management, this will equate to $3.49 in the next 12 months. It is impossible to accumulate any significant amount of interest at this rate to achieve the goal of mites. As much as the endowment fund is intended as a money generator by interest accrual for use in achieving mites goals, the endowment fund is also a nest egg for money acting as a buffer account that mites could access in the event of some cataclysmic event outside the foreseeable future of the control of mites organization. This requires that the money held in the endowment fund be accessible, if necessary, for the maintenance and preservation of mites. Also, the endowment fund has been historically held as a fund for which the organization did not want to risk a loss by investment in any type of fund that could take a loss. Upon the assumption of the mites treasurer position, I was approached by the bank representative concerning certificates of deposits, also known as CDs. As I listened to her explain the benefits and limitations of CDs, I learned several key factors. A CD generally returns a much better interest yield than conventional savings account. Recently, I found a CD interest rates yield up to 8%. These rates of return were on short-term CDs, such as anywhere from 6 to 12 months. Imagine if the endowment fund was to proceed an annual investment return of $1,395. That figure is 8% return on the current endowment balance of $17,435. How would that change the mites concerning programs of outstanding quality, annual scholarships, or grants to programs for equipment or specialized needs? Now, keep in mind that a CD of 2 to 5% are more common, but that it is still $349 to $872 that can easily be obtained as compared to $2.38 earned on the whole. CDs are guaranteed investments As far as risk with a CD, there is none. CD monies are not used by banks or investments that can themselves take a loss, which could be transferred to mites. Thus, we can't lose value. Also, CDs can be accessed for their full value of investment at any time. If a CD is accessed prior to the term's fulfillment, then only the current interest can be lost. If a CD monies are accessed prior to the term fulfillment, there would be a loss of interest up to the amount which was accumulated during the current duration of the term, or 10% of the interest possible during the term, whichever is less. That is exactly what Mites is doing right now, giving away potential interest by not investing the endowment fund in a higher rate of return. So, I believe that his motion,
There's the second page.
oh, I got it. It's on my table, sorry. It would be fiscally, thank you, irresponsible for Mites to continue with hands-off approach, not taking this opportunity to utilize the endowment funds for investments and higher bearing interest accounts. I propose that Mites allow the Mites treasurer the authority to secure CDs with the endowment funds under the Mites name and for reasonable durations of time, so that the available interest gained in the fund would always be available by the end of the convention cycle for the purpose of funding awards, grants, and scholarships per the goals of Mites. In this, the Mites treasurer would be required to give an account at regular meetings and upon request of the executive board, as to the current location, amounts, terms, interest rates held on each Mites CD. I move at this time that the proposal be supported and adopted for the benefit of Mites Endowment Fund and the fulfillment of Mites goals.
Second.
Now I need a motion.
Oh.
Second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on this, or we solved it?
I have a thought. I don't know what your cash flow is per month, but you have $60,000 approximately that you
Correct.
could invest at some levels. And if you did them on a monthly basis, you could always have access to 1/12 of that. So that would be $5,000 at a shot. At 8%, that's nearly $5,000 a year. At 5%, that's $3,000. If you consider the 12 months and what you have bills and where you need your cash, if you offset every CD so that you always had 5,000 almost in your hands, and you had 30-day bills, you'd always have the money.
Right,
The biggest chunk of the spending though is in June.
right,
And so, I mean,
So
you're gonna
we need
you're gonna
30
almost that whole amount
right.
at
So,
that time.
There you
so
go.
we need like $36,000 available in June.
So you make it,
You got
everything
$10,000
else, the
in.
27.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then that becomes a 9-month if you
Exactly.
put it in today.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly right.
And so you'd end up with a very large chunk of change that you didn't have to charge members or vendors.
That could be.
That's a very good idea. Yes,
Pretty much the only checks that I wrote after doing treasurer last year as a president too was reimbursement for gas mileage for our annual meetings. And then there was May and a little bit after the show for a couple weeks. That's where the bulk of money was. The rest of the year, not much, is nothing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Hardly at all.
Yeah, that's really the case is,
yeah.
you're only spending the money during basically 1 month a year, and after that, it's small
A few
amounts.
hundred here and there, yeah.
So depending on when Mr. Hernandez hands you the first check, then you play that number backwards to where you need the money.
Well, and the interest from what you earn could also be set up so that you're essentially building up an investment fund separate from the convention money, so you have one that's constantly moving forward.
Absolutely.
We need Okay. Yes.
The only question I have, and maybe this is true now, but the penalty for early redeeming of a CD was more for me than he claims. You know, I paid a penalty on top of whatever my interest was, depends on when you cash it in. So I guess I'll encourage Josh to look at that one more time.
Well, that also.
It wasn't ridiculous, but it was more than it was worth, because I was getting 3% whoop-de-doo, and I paid about a, 5% penalty. So,
But that depends on where you're investing
yeah,
and what their terms
well,
are.
but, they have rules regarding what the penalties are, and they apply statewide. So there's some discrepancy there. And if it applies only to my bank, then I need a new bank, I guess.
I guess I would just ask, If we do approve this and everybody's on board with it, is the treasurer gonna be the only person that's gonna pick how much money we put away? Is it gonna be the treasurer and the president making that decision, or is it gonna be our main executive board? Because maybe one person should be responsible for picking a number on how much we actually put away in
If
case
we-
of emergency.
Are you saying if we go outside of the endowment portion? Because that's all he's asking for here.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought-
currently, we're only talking endowment.
Okay.
Yeah,
I would keep the endowment and the rest of our budget separate, but my recommendation earlier was let that, 9 months of interest grow at whatever percent more than 0.2 for our whole budget. if possible.
interest back into it and review
yeah.
But we're really only talking endowment funding at this.
And that's gonna be something interesting that our auditor, we're gonna use an outside auditor a little bit for this, because technically being a nonprofit, we should have a zero balance budget.
Yeah.
So, don't know exactly how we transfer money year to year anyways, because that's not supposed to be happening. So, we're gonna have to look into that, or maybe we'll end up moving that into the endowment or something. There's ways to move money around, but technically, we should start and end with zero. So we should never be investing money because we don't have it.
I never heard of that before.
I'm sure
Non-
there's ways-
nonprofit, that's-
Nonprofits are zero balance budget.
We haven't got in trouble for
Corporations.
the last 30 or 50 years.
I think I would just like to say, tack on to what you said, is that no matter what we do or what we do with what group of money, that there should always be more than one person that's okays it. Simply because I've been involved in a lot of organizations, and I'm not pointing fingers at anybody or anything, but it's to actually safeguard the person that's doing the money stuff. It's to protect them from someone in the organization coming back and saying, who gave you the right to do that? We're all sitting in this room saying, yes, we want to do the CD, or yes, we want to do whatever we agree to, but it's to cover that person's reputation, ass, whatever you want to say, that they said, I got the approval from the board, I got the approval from this to be able to go forward with this.
So do we want to add that
And it's
in?
not me saying, who gave you that right? How come you're doing that?
Do we want to add that in then, that the board shall approve the endowment amount? Yep.
What part of the board? You don't really need, do you
What
want
part?
the
Yeah, you
whole
don't need
board
the whole-
Probably just
involved?
the
Yeah,
president.
Just the
Executive
executive
board
board.
or executive committee?
Second board, the board,
Yes.
man, I would-
Just
It's
so
4
that-
people,
Either,
executive board.
yeah, executive board.
Yeah, that would be my opinion anyways.
Yep.
I'm
Like I
good with
said,
that.
just
You
to
got 5
protect
people.
him more than
Well,
anything
that's
else,
four.
because we
You
don't
got
want
4 at
some
that point.
member
Treasurer's
coming up to
part.
him and harassing him because of what
Yeah.
happened. If something adverse happens, we don't want, the membership to take it out on him because it was a group decision.
And you remember, if somebody harasses you, ask them to volunteer.
Well, we have that now. Yep. we have
What?
that.
I said, if someone harasses you, ask them to volunteer
Well,
after they're done
exactly,
harassing.
but
Okay, is there any
Solves
other new business?
You're gonna vote on this.
Oh, yeah, we need a vote. Yep, we need a vote. So all
And
those in
it's with
favor?
your amendment of, with the approval of the executive
Read
committee.
it out.
Okay, so it says,
Approval. With the approval of the executive committee.
yes, with the approval of the executive board or committee?
Committee.
Committee.
Board is 11, right?
Yeah.
Committee is 4.
Yep.
President passed. Is it passed?
Secretary,
President, President-elect, Secretary, Treasurer.
treasurer.
Okay. So with the approval of the executive committee, we shall invest the endowment funds into CD.
No, with the approval of the executive board. The committee is all 11. Is that not correct?
Well, you just
You
said
just
both.
said it.
Did I say both?
Yeah.
The board is 4, I think.
The board,
I'll tell you in a sec.
Well, I just need the four positions.
The board of directors shall be the executive board. the-
President, president-elect, secretary, and treasurer.
That makes it simple, doesn't matter what you call it,
Yeah,
it's done.
Yeah.
Those 4 people.
you can label them, yeah.
you could just
Executive
list
board.
out those 4 people
Yep,
or 4
it's the board.
positions and-
Just redundancy.
Good job.
You can always include more if you need more opinion.
We don't need more opinion.
Well, I'm just saying. Because we're not afraid to tell you.
Everyone's got one of those.
That's right.
opinions are free.
So with with the approval of the executive board.
Oh, I threw that in.
No, with the approval of the executive board, we give my treasurer the authority to secure CDs with the endowment funds.
Okay, so with the approval of the executive board, we give the Mike's treasurer thank you, the authority to secure CDs with the endowment fund under the Mike's name.
You want to leave it limited to CDs, you have other options?
I want to limit it to CDs personally.
At this point.
I just,
Right now.
I just don't feel comfortable playing the work.
Move slow, we'll try it.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Is there any other new business from the floor? All right, I move this meeting adjourned at 11:24. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Oh, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Where's your
All right, we're gonna go to a closed door session.
All right, before anybody takes off, I just had a bunch of